Grand Rising. I thought I would come on and just share a little bit of what's weighing on my heart today. It's been a day of reflecting today, and the topic of death has been something that's been within my awareness, in a personal share. We lost my father-in-law just several days ago. He passed. And whenever we lose someone that we love, it's very natural to go in and do that reflection. You begin to kind of reflect on your own life and your own mortality. And the biggest thing, though, whenever we lose someone it's the grief. It's the grieving process. And, oftentimes we go through a very painful process because we're grieving the loss of our loved one in physical form. But death is really not the end. It is simply a transformation. And understanding that, we are not this body, this physical form. We are a soul, fractal of source, that chose to incarnate here into this physical vessel to experience this physical world. And we do that through the experiences that we go through in life, good, bad, or indifferent. And then when our soul contract is complete, we return back to source. And, many cultures, ancient cultures, and many even just cultures around the world, they see death as a celebration. It's a celebration of their life, celebrating all of the beauty that they brought into this life, celebrating their soul, their memories. And grieving is natural, but grieving in a way that's done with reverence and with love and with celebration. And so as I was sitting this morning reflecting on this, it really brought me to the greater perception and awareness of what's happening collectively right now. As many of you know, we are going through a global awakening, a global spiritual awakening. And what this ultimately is really, it's a collective death. There's many people that are going through grief, some known, some unknown, but it is a death. It's a death of the old. Many are going through this process because whatever they're required to release is slowly dying. It's disappearing. It's leaving their life. And so many people right now, many people that I know personally, and just in general, collectively, what's happening is there is a huge surge of souls leaving Earth. Many people are crossing over. But there's also a huge death of relationships. People, relationships are falling apart. There's a huge death of jobs, people leaving jobs and feeling like it's time to put that behind them because it's no longer feeling in alignment. That's a death. Cycles ending, getting rid of old things that we had attachments to that are no longer serving us, selling homes, moving, just ending of old cycles. These are all death. Because death is simply just a transformation. It's a transformation of something that is no longer serving our highest good. And then we release these so that we can make space for new beginnings, new cycles. It is death and rebirth. And it doesn't just pertain to the physical, although that is one of the more painful ones. And as I've been going through this, with the loss of our my father-in-law. Beautiful man. He was a wonderful grandfather. He lived a long and amazing life. He was 94 years old. And sadly, the last couple of years of his life he was not living his full potential. He had dementia. And so watching him waste away in a wheelchair the last 2 years, he wasn't living. He was physically here, but he was not. His as far as I'm concerned, he had already died a couple years ago. So he was just here in physical form, and he finally made the choice that it was time to leave. So it's bittersweet, it is bittersweet. But the point here is that whatever you are going through right now, whether it is the death of a loved one, the death of a relationship, the death of a job, the death of a cycle, the death of your old identity, whatever it is, know that it is completely normal and completely necessary in order to shift into something new. Because when a human dies, their soul doesn't die. Their physical vessel has come to its natural end, but their soul is eternal. And when they leave their physical body, they actually transform into something amazing. They transform into a higher frequency, back into light. And much like, if you're grieving the death of something, know that it's just come to its natural end, and it's because there's something better for you. There's a new path that's opening up. Maybe there's something that is meant for you, that is ultimately what your soul needs for your next chapter. And oftentimes through grieving processes, we cling onto and hold on to those old attachments, and understandably so, because being human, we do attach to a lot of that. But can we see the beauty in death and transformation, much like the butterfly? I love the butterfly analogy, because the caterpillar literally goes through a death, and that death is the transformation. It goes within the cocoon. It goes through a very intense metamorphosis. And when it's reborn into a beautiful butterfly. That's a transformation. That is a death of the old identity and a birth of the new. So, although it is normal to grieve, and I think, that is part of our humanness, grieving is important. And ultimately, what grieving really indicates is that you did have something that you truly cherished and loved, and it brought you so much peace and joy to your life. But also understanding that it's not really a bad thing. It's ultimately a gift. And so when we lose someone, or when we lose a relationship, or when we lose a job, or when we lose situations, or when we lose the attachment to things, that is ultimately your soul preparing you for a shift into that new next phase. And I think I just needed to share that, because I know many people right now are going through some very challenging times. There's many people right now that are grieving the old world. I mean, our world is changing. We are transforming. The earth is changing. The systems in the world are changing. We're watching the world going through massive chaos right now. Systems are collapsing, corruption coming to the surface, and it all seems very dark. Wars and all of these horrific things that are on the news. But what if those things are really just the dying of the old system? What if it's just the natural ending of what we've been in? An era, an old paradigm that needs to die because it is no longer serving humanity's highest good. We've been shifting from the age of Pisces into this age of Aquarius. It's been metamorphosing, if that's even a word, metamorphosizing from the old to the new. It's been happening for at least a decade, if not more. And it was a gradual change, but what's taken place the last 5 years, 6 years, is it's speeding up. This is why things are feeling so intense. This is why things are getting crazier, because time is speeding up. Systems are dying. Things are collapsing. Things are feeling chaotic because it is literally the old that is dying. And in this process of death, we are all going through a grieving, whether we're aware of it or not. It's a grieving process. We're shedding all of these layers of what we thought was truth. All of the things that we were told is now exposing itself as truth, that perhaps we have been deceived and manipulated and controlled and enslaved. It's all being brought to the surface. And in order to grieve so that we can release these, they need to be shown, they need to be felt. And it's all part of a divine transformation, because everything is energy. Everything is energy, and energy can neither be destroyed or created. It simply transforms. And just like the soul transforms from physical to spirit, so does every other system and thing and, relationships and cycles and situations. They also transform. And when they go through the transformation, it is a death process. That's why it's painful, because we have to go through the death and grieving process in order to allow the transformation to help shift us into that next level, that next new beginning. So, I hope that this resonates with you. I feel like, there's somebody out there that needed to hear this. And again, just sharing my deep reflections. I've been definitely contemplating and reflecting a lot in my own life as I've been going through some very big changes and deaths and transformations as well. And, it's not always easy, but it's also allowing me the opportunity to, see the beauty and the higher perspective in all of it. Because everything, there is a higher purpose in everything. And everything is in divine order. Even when we think something is an accident, there is always a divine order to these things that happen. And we may never know 100%, but spirit does. Higher consciousness does. And, if you've been on your spiritual healing journey for a while, and maybe you've been connecting to that part of you, that higher self, you'll probably have connected with higher aspects of yourself. Or maybe you've had connection with spirit or loved ones on the other side. And those of us that do, we always receive similar messages that everything is amazing on the other side. Everything is perfect. In fact, our loved ones are still with us. While we miss them and grieve them, they're still here in spirit. They are with us. And, we also lost our dog back in the fall. And that was a painful process for me. But once again, it was like I had to go through that deep grief and letting go, because, it was time for me to shift into a new chapter, a new cycle. And I don't know what that cycle includes, whether it includes another pet or not. I don't know. And I trust that if it is meant to be, that beautiful pet will find its way to me. But I'm just trusting that whatever is happening is unfolding exactly as it should. And every day, you just kind of get through it a little easier, a little easier. It never fully goes away, but knowing that my little fur baby, he's still with me. He's still here. I talk to him. I can feel him sometimes. And that death is really nothing to fear. It's just a transformation. Now, if you have been following me for a while, I also share that myself and my co-host, we've been doing a podcast called At Infinity Podcast. And one of the podcast topics that we do discuss is the topic of death. And so I encourage you to go over and follow our podcast and have a listen and see how that resonates with you. Of course, always appreciate that you subscribe, that you like, that you share and follow. Because the more that you do that, the more that I'm able to get my message, my medicine out to the people that need to hear it. Because believe me, right now, there's a lot of people that are going to be needing extra support and guidance through these very challenging times that we're going through. And it is not going to get any easier, but it can get, with the right tools and the right support, are able to get through it with a little bit more comfort and ease. So, so that's it. I just needed to share that and express what I was feeling. And, this is truly my authentic share. And I'm just sharing my personal inner reflections and experiences. And I thought it was important that I do that, share that with you, because I know there's someone out there that needs to hear that. So sending you all so much love. Thank you.